It was the first evening of spring when I returned from a neighborhood jog to find an urgent envelope shoved under my door. My pulse quickened as I tore it open. Beneath the warm porch light inside lay a handwritten demand. Pay $50,000 to Willow Creek HOA by Friday or face legal action. No explanation, no invoice, just a threat scrawled in thick, black marker and signed, Karen Haversht, President. My stomach nodded. Only Karen would conjure such draconian demands out of thin air. I recalled her corpulent silhouette stomping through our cul-de-sac, clipboard in hand, micromanaging mailboxes, flower beds, and even children's chalk drawings on the sidewalk. Now she'd escalated to extortion. Disbelief warred with fury as I replayed recent fights or attempts to find me for a single missing slat in my fence. Her threats over last year's holiday decorations. Her nocturnal patrols snapping photos of alleged violations. Yet none had prepared me for this brazen blackmail. I felt violated, my sense of home under siege by her unchecked avarice. And then I remembered the last time I'd seen my old friend Derek Mulligan, a former DOJ agent, who'd transferred to a quiet FBI unit handling public corruption. I dialed his number, voice tight. "Derek, I need your help. It's Karen." His calm reply, "I'll be there in 10, was the spark I needed to transform my outrage into action. As I pocketed the envelope, I vowed not to pay a dime until the truth of her schemes came to light. 10 minutes later, Derek pulled up in an unmarked sedan, stepping onto my driveway in a leather jacket and crisp collared shirt, his FBI badge discreetly tucked into his wallet. Behind him followed my neighbor Mrs. Chun, clutching her tablet to record the moment. Karen's son fidgeted on the sidewalk, live-streaming the scene to his followers. Derek approached slowly, eyes locked on mine, and said quietly, "Mind if I handle this?" I nodded. He cleared his throat and strode toward Karen, who hovered behind a pristine red Mercedes, her floral blouse shining under the street lamp. Rifle posture aside, she thrust the envelope at Derek and demanded, "What do you want? You're trespassing." Derek remained composed. He flipped open his badge and said, "I'm Special Agent Mulligan with the FBI. We're investigating allegations of extortion and official misconduct within Willow Creek HOA. This envelope is evidence. You're going to step back and answer questions." Karen's face blanched a mix of panic and fury, and her son's live stream chat exploded with disbelief. The twist struck home. The woman who had weaponized her self-proclaimed authority against neighbors now faced the full weight of federal law. The quiet hum of the unmarked car's engine accentuated the intensity as Karen's turmoil played out in real time before dozens of onlookers and thousands of online viewers. Instead of fleeing, Karen squared her shoulders and spat. "You have no jurisdiction here. This is a private association matter." Derek smiled, eyes steely. "If your demands constitute a scheme to obtain money by threat or intimidation, that's a federal crime. Extortion is a felony. We're seizing this envelope as evidence, and you're required to come downtown to answer questions." Behind us, Mrs. Chen's live feed buzzed, Karen exposed trending. The street, once hushed by fear, now crackled with cathartic energy. Neighbors stepped out of their homes, drawn by the spectacle, and gathered in clusters to witness Karen's unraveling. What began as a private threat now rippled into a profound confrontation where entitlement collided with enforceable law. As Derek gently guided Karen toward his vehicle, her protests faltered into a tremulous confession. "I only wanted compliance. They keep ignoring my emails." But compliance under duress is no excuse for extortion. I watched as Karen's bravado crumbled before the badge of federal authority. The silent consensus among neighbors, once petrified by her petty tyranny, shifted to relief and vindication. That night, our cul-de-sac transformed from a place of repression to a theater of justice served. In the stunned aftermath, Derek gathered us on my porch and outlined next steps. Karen would be formally charged. The FBI would review HOA financial records for impropriety, and neighbors had the right to form a provisional oversight committee pending legal resolution. As he spoke, I saw new resolve ignite in each face. We were no longer passive subjects of Karen's whims, but active participants in reclaiming our neighborhood's integrity. The unexpected presence of the FBI force beyond HOA pettiness had galvanized us. Yet, With legal proceedings looming, our unity would be tested further, requiring steadfast courage and cooperation to ensure justice prevailed over entitlement. What do you think was calling in the FBI too extreme for a neighborhood spat? Or was it the only way to protect our rights? Share your thoughts on right and wrong below. Morning broke over Willow Creek Estates with an eerie calm as news of Karen's arrest rippled through every household. I woke to alert notifications flooding my phone, neighbors sharing local news links, snippets of Karen's sobbing confession broadcast on live feeds, and debates unfolding online about HOA authority and personal rights. Stepping onto my porch, I spotted the county sheriff's bulletin posted on my front door, officially notifying me that Karen Haversht had been charged with extortion under federal statutes. Relief washed over me, but it mingled with anticipation. The community now faced the daunting task of reclaiming our governance framework and rebuilding trust. By mid-morning, the Provisional Oversight Committee I'd helped form convened at the Maple Community Center. In a room buzzing with the hum of civic fervor, I sat alongside retired Judge Anita Caldwell and Derek Mulligan, whose presence lent gravity and guidance. The committee's first order was to draft a temporary charter detailing processes for transparent enforcement, neighbor-led dispute resolution, and penalties for overstepping authority. As I moved between breakout groups, I witnessed once baffled neighbors confidently debating clause language, citing legal precedents Derek and Anita provided. The twist lay in our rapid transformation, from fearful bystanders to empowered architects of our neighborhood's future. One unexpected thread emerged when Mrs. Patel, a soft-spoken librarian, revealed she had archived decades of HOA meeting minutes in her attic, long forgotten until Karen's demise. Those dusty binders contained a history of silent rubber stamping, vague amendments, and unexplained fines dating back years. The committee realized these records could reveal patterns of misuse, possibly implicating other board members who had enabled Karen's regime. With unanimous agreement, we appointed a records review subcommittee, tasking them to catalog and verify instances of policy abuse. The prospect of broader accountability added emotional weight to our mission. This was not just about one fallen tyrant, but safeguarding against systemic rot. Meanwhile, word spread that the local chapter of the FBI's Community Outreach Unit would host a public forum at the Township Hall, using our case as a cautionary tale. Derek invited me to co-present on a panel addressing homeowner associations and legal boundaries. That evening, I stood before a packed auditorium, our neighbors filling every chair and spilling into the foyer sharing our saga. The shock of extortion, the power of legitimate authority, and the promise of participatory oversight. Applause greeted each anecdote of neighbor courage and collaboration, culminating in a standing ovation when I held up Karen's confiscated envelope as a relic of entitlement undone by the rule of law. As spring deepened, the Records Review Committee unearthed alarming findings. Questionable assessments for driveway stains, undocumented fence height appeals, and an informal compliance fund into which fines had been funneled without oversight. The Provisional Committee convened a special hearing to address these irregularities, inviting affected homeowners to testify. The courtroom-like setting in the community center bristled with tension as residents recounted receiving sudden demands for fees or repairs they never agreed to. When asked, the remaining HOA board members claimed ignorance, just following Karen's directives, but their evasive replies cracked under scrutiny. Under Judge Caldwell's facilitation, the committee invalidated all fines issued on Karen's watch and ordered restitution from HOA reserves. It was our most dramatic confrontation yet, vindicating neighbors and cementing the principle that authority demands transparency and accountability. Rebuilding the HOA's structure became a mosaic of community engagement. We held monthly workshops on Robert's Rules of Order and Civic Rights, collaborated with the county clerk's office to streamline petition processes, and introduced digital voting platforms ensuring every member's voice counted. My own role morphed from aggrieved resident to facilitator and advocate, guiding neighbors through legislative drafts and conflict resolution trainings. By early summer, we held our first official HOA election under the new charter. As sunrise filtered through the community hall's stained glass windows, I watched ballots delivered with trembling hands and witnessed neighbors murmuring encouragement to first-time candidates. The transparency of the process, the open count ceremony, and the spirited yet respectful debates underscored how far we'd come from Karen's reign. One particularly touching moment arrived when Janice, whose turreted property had been Karen's prime obsession, tearfully thanked the committee for restoring her sense of home. "You've given me back my peace," she whispered, pressing a batch of freshly baked cookies into my hands. It was a reminder that our efforts had real human impact beyond bylaws and board meetings. We were healing community wounds. As autumn painted the estates in fiery hues, we celebrated our first annual Willow Creek Unity Day. The green adorned with tents offering free legal clinics, mock HOA meetings teaching civic process, and badge decorating stations where children customized replicas of Derek's FBI emblem with glitter and hope. A stage featured musical performances and speeches, including a heartfelt address from me on the power of collective action. We transformed fear into fellowship, extortion into education, and tyranny into transparency. May our story guide others to defend their rights and restore trust. The crowd erupted into cheers, confetti rained, and the former shadows of Karen's clipboard faded into the brightness of our shared achievement. Winter's arrival brought a final, poignant twist. Karen Haversht was offered a plea agreement allowing her to avoid prison in exchange for community service mentoring struggling homeowners on navigating HOA procedures under strict supervision. Some neighbors grumbled that it was too lenient. Others argued it reflected our community's capacity for redemption. I watched her appear at one of our meetings, badge clipped to her belt to symbolize her new role. Though her posture remained stiff, the tentative manner in which she answered questions signaled a fragile willingness to learn. It was a testament to the fact that even the most entitled can, under the right circumstances, be guided toward accountability. In the quiet that followed, I penned a reflective post for entitled people Reddit. From $50,000 extortion notes to forging a transparent HOA's how standing up to entitlement sparked tools for community resilience. Did bringing in the FBI risk escalating neighborhood politics? Or was it the exact medicine needed? Weigh in on right versus wrong below. As I clicked post, a sense of closure washed over me. Our saga had traveled from shocking confrontation to enlightening reform, with twists that revealed both human frailty and the regenerative power of unity. Willow Creek Estates now stood not under the shadow of one person's clipboard, but illuminated by the collective badge of lawful integrity, an enduring beacon for homes everywhere.